The director of the FBI joins us on this momentous occasion. Congratulations, Director Patel. How do you feel, and what would you like to say to the people?
Hey, Greg, it's great to be back with you. And look, this is a victory for the team across the interagency. This investigation led by the FBI, our brilliant partners at the Department of Justice under Attorney General Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche, and the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. with Janine Pirro. This is what interagency work looks like when you got state and local authorities fixed on a target of such high public priority. And in 8 months, we came in and reviewed all of the evidence that had sat alone and on the sidelines for the prior 4 years of the Biden administration. And we simply, under Deputy Director Bongino, implemented a team of experts from across the country, demanded they reevaluate the information and evidence, scrub the cell phone logs and data centers, and look at information that we can develop for leads, investigative leads, and service legal process along the way. And this is what good cop work looks like. And thanks to President Trump, he gave us a sweeping mandate to go out there and crush violent crime and defend the homeland. And that's what we're doing by moving agents out into the field across the country by the thousands to make sure that they get after it in the cities and streets of America.
You did a great job, and it looks like the previous administration, if this evidence, you say this is evidence that was on scene in the FBI when you got there. There's cell phone evidence, there's retail evidence tying pipe bomb purchases to this individual, and you have automobile evidence. It's almost like they deliberately did not want to solve this. I mean, this was challenging, but it was solvable, right?
In my opinion, the prior administration either was completely incompetent or intentional in their weaponization of justice and law enforcement. And we know they have a track record of the latter with Arctic Frost and Russiagate and so many else. So I put this in that folder. What we did was we rejected and are in the process of destroying and leveling the weaponization of justice and law enforcement and delivering results for the American people, like the lowest murder rate in modern history by double digits this year alone. And this case was no different. We took the resources and we said, look at the evidence, look at 3 million lines of information, look at the cell phone tower data dumps, look, triangulate and bring in the FBI's evidence response teams and technicians and subject matter experts to say, we need to physically mine this information day in and day out. And that's what I want the American people to understand. That's what it takes. This isn't some computer system where you dump in information, you just say, okay, what's it spit down at the end? This is hundreds of people, thousands of man hours looking at it line by line and saying, what were we looking for? We got it. And then when we knew we had it, we went to work on legal process with our partners at DOJ, executed search warrants, safeguarded the community, and make sure we had the evidence we needed to present in court, because coming up short was not an acceptable position for me.
Is he in custody, the suspect, Brian Cole Jr.? I mean, I'm sorry, is he talking? That's my question. Is he talking? Can you tell us?
The suspect is obviously in custody, and in routine fashion, the FBI does conduct interviews pursuant to our constitutional authorities there. And what you're going to learn in the next day or so is the information that we've exploited pursuant to our investigation in its totality to bring the suspect into court for presentment and charging. And I think at that point, instead of getting head of the Department of Justice now, you're going to see a lot of information come out in the, probably, I would say, the next 24 hours, speaking to that and other pieces of evidence.
Understood. Let's put one page up, though, from the affidavit. You have what he actually purchased and where he purchased them at various Home Depots in Northern Virginia, sandpaper, machinist file, the pipe, all of that stuff. It's a really fascinating document to read.
This individual had to go out and buy pipes and end caps and wires and sulfur and bomb-making material and then figure out how to put it together. How can we have the #1 law enforcement agency asleep at the wheel for 4 years and not analyze any of this information along with cell phone and surveillance camera footage, which we, this FBI, enhanced together with our team and threw back at our subject matter experts and say, this is a challenge for you. I know it's a tough nut to crack, but you're going to do it because we're going to give you the resources. And most importantly, that's what President Trump was elected to do, to remove the fangs of weaponization and deliver the American people an FBI that deliver results like never before. And that's why this year alone, we have 25,000 violent felons arrested. That's twice as many as last year. Those are hardcore results, and we're going to stick to doing what we do best, which is putting the mission first of crushing violent crime and defending the homeland.
To my previous observation or question, take a look at Director Wray. This is 2 years after the pipe bombing, like 3 years ago. Take a look at the attempted pipe bombing.
And I don't want to speculate about specific individuals. I will tell you that we have done thousands of interviews, reviewed something like 40,000 video files, of which this is one, assessed 500-something tips.
Have you interviewed
reviewed
that
the
person?
Devices. We have conducted all logical investigative steps and interviewed all logical individuals.
It sounded like a guy going through the motions. My question is, my understanding is, my takeaway, because the RNC was targeted, as well as the DNC, this did not fit the narrative that January 6th, the narrative that they were pushing, was this MAGA effort to overthrow the government. This undermines that because the RNC was targeted, and that was de-emphasized, hardly mentioned by the mainstream media at times. It's all about the DNC, not the RNC. Did you ever notice that?
Well, look, the media always, unfortunately, picks sides and invests with in terms of most of the mainstream media, with the weaponization of law enforcement to fit a political narrative. What this FBI does is we don't care about political narratives. We reject that notion wholeheartedly. We replaced our senior leadership here at Hoover and across the field and implemented field leaders like our assistant director in charge of the Washington field office, who's quarterbacking this for us, and said we are going back to what we do best, which is unleashing our brilliant investigators and agents and letting them go to work across the country. And that's simply what we did here. It doesn't matter how many zillions of hours of this or footage of that you reviewed if you don't come to a conclusion. I can tell you about investigations from now until the end of time that weren't solved because people just came to the podium and said, look at all the things we did, but we struck out. This individual planted pipe bombs at the United States Capitol building to kill hundreds of people who are innocent citizens and elected legislatures, and the best the FBI could do in the prior administration was say how much they reviewed stuff. Unacceptable. This mission here at the FBI has totally changed. This mission, this ship is heading for full steam accountability and transparency. That's what we're delivering for the American people, with results like the murder rate and the arrests we have and the success we've had on fentanyl, which is also historic.
And one more thing, you know, the previous administration spent a lot of time talking about and looking for white supremacy that was not actually plaguing the nation. There's no indication that white supremacy was afoot in this case now that a suspect is in custody.
We don't have any information on specificity as related to motivation to reveal just yet. I think that's going to come in the coming days, because what we want to do is, yes, this individual has been arrested, and as the U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro said today starts the process of his prosecution in court, and he has constitutional rights. We're not going to break those rights. We're going to honor them, and we are going to abide by the Constitution rigorously and present the evidence every single day that we have an opportunity, starting with, I believe, this afternoon and tomorrow with his first appearance and presentment of the charging documents.
Excellent. And I think I have you for 90 more seconds, if you don't mind. Did his Nike sneakers have anything to do with the apprehension?
What I can tell you is we took a hard look at every piece of evidence, and the sneakers in this case were unusual. It's been publicly reported in that they were limited in quantity. So, of course, this FBI seized upon that piece of evidence and utilized it to build a case with other investigative matters that we were working, like the cell phone dumps, that's something the FBI does better than anybody else. But we did it with our partners at the U.S. Capitol and Metropolitan Police and ATF. This is an interagency operation at its fullest, with the FBI leading the charge. And this is what happens when you remove politics and weaponization from law enforcement. You get the bad guys, and we're going to keep getting all the bad guys.
In the affidavit, it's mentioned that he worked at a bail bonds business, which is kind of law enforcement or quasi-law enforcement. Did his position there give him any special access or insight into pulling this off or trying to pull this off?
You know, we'll have to, again, so this morning, we not only hit the house pursuant to a lawful search warrant process, we also hit the bail bondsman site and company that he works at. And as you can imagine, when you're going in to secure and investigate an operation involving a bomber, it takes days to safeguard the locations, to make sure our evidence response team and technicians can get in there safely with our bomb techs, and then a long time to evaluate that. And that's an ongoing process literally right now. We started this morning, and it's going to keep going into tomorrow and the weekend. And as we reveal information from that, we'll make it public.
Apologies. Family being cooperative?
We'll find out.
Director Kash Patel, our very best to your team. all of you at the DOJ and at the FBI, and congratulations to you, sir. You're the leader of that fine bureau. Good luck, and
Thanks so much.
You bet. You bet.